Our first guest tonight is a United States Senator from Massachusetts. Please welcome back to the show, Senator Elizabeth Warren. Welcome to the show, Senator. Well, it has been a week of historic news. Not all good, most bad, but let's start with a silver lining. Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson becomes the first black woman on the Supreme Court.
Yes. You know our other first? She is the first public defender to sit on the United States Supreme Court. And think about, just for 1 second, think about what that means. This is a woman who has made public service her life and who is so committed to the principles of justice that she made her work about speaking up for people who couldn't afford to have lawyers, who weren't going to have a voice, except for someone like her who stepped in and said, that's my job, and I'm going to be part of making this justice system work. She's going to be fabulous.
That's a really interesting point, because I think we often talk about the homogeny of like how the backgrounds and sort of the racial backgrounds or the the gender backgrounds.
Yep.
But really, that's such an interesting point, because everybody comes from the same side of the law, and of course the law is multifaceted. So that'll be great to have that new perspective.
That's right. We have had a lot of people who came from the side of all those corporations who desperately needed help. And now it's really terrific to have. It's kind of amazing. It took us this long, right? That we have our first public defender. She's going to be terrific.
Unfortunately, it seems like a lot of her role will be to be one of 3 people on the side of 6-3 decisions. We had another one today about emissions. Basically, the court ruled that the EPA is very limited in the sort of emissions they can regulate from different plants. What are the grander implications of a decision like this?
So look, this is a Supreme Court that is basically out of control. And they have decided that they don't like the way that we have for decades now tried to deal with climate change. This has been a very pro-corporate court, and this is actually not the first decision in that direction. They've been anti-union, they've been anti-consumer, they've empowered corporations more than ever before, giving them religious liberty rights, letting them contribute money to influence the political process. And I see this as this is one more decision heaped on losing Roe versus Wade, heaped on a gun decision that is going to make life more dangerous for all of our children, for all of our neighbors, for all of our loved ones. It really is a time when the American people are losing confidence in the Supreme Court, and for good reason. A court that is not grounded in law, not grounded in the principles on which we have tried to build a country going forward, but instead a court that says, no, they're just going to substitute their own personal views and make the rest of America bend to it.
So this is a time where I feel like, and you must be hearing this a lot from your constituents, from the people you talk to, it seems like there's 2 reactions you could have, which is to be sad or to be angry. Do you feel like one is more helpful than the other?
Yes.
Okay.
Sad, you got a few hours for that.
Okay.
I will go as much as 24.
2 to 24 hours.
And that's it. That's it, 2 to 24 hours. And after that, cold bucket of water. Because now it is time to be angry and to channel that anger into action. And the reason for that is sad is about leaning back and giving up. And we can't do that. There is a path out of this. It is not an easy path. It is not a guaranteed win. But I guarantee this, you don't get what you don't fight for. So it is powerfully important to take the anger over what the Supreme Court has done and channel it into action. Can we do the actions?
Let's do the actions.
Let's do it. All right,
Great.
let's do it right now on Roe. The first one is there are people out there right now who are pregnant and who need help. They need protection. And we need to pour resources into helping them. That means each of us volunteering money, volunteering time to support the organizations that are trying to help people. The administration is stepping in, using all of its tools, and I commend the president for stepping up, for example, on medication abortion, making that more widely available, protecting people who have to cross state lines in order to get help. We should be looking at the fact that the federal government, biggest employer in the country, make sure that people have got time off from work and resources to travel. So we need to do things to protect people who are pregnant now and who get pregnant next month and the next month, because this is the urgent problem in front of us. But second thing we need to do is we gotta focus like a laser on the election in November. Understand, this small minority that wanted to overturn Roe has been disciplined. They have worked at this for nearly 5 decades. They lost and they got back up and they stayed in the fight. And they helped all of those senators who helped shepherd through these justices who swore until the world looked level that Roe was settled law and that we don't disturb settled law. And as soon as they got the votes, they went ahead and did not just a chip away at Roe, just blew the whole thing up. We need to be just as committed, just as focused on this election in November. 2 senators, if we pick up 2 Democratic senators who will help us get rid of the filibuster, which the president has now said he's on board for that, and who will give us Roe versus Wade. 2 senators, and yes, John Fetterman, I am looking at you in Pennsylvania. Yes, Mandela Barnes, I'm looking at you in Wisconsin. We get those 2 senators in, we hang on to the House, and Roe versus Wade will be the law all across America. That's what we can get done. That's a fight worth having.
I think it's important, and I appreciate the optimism. What do you say to people who feel as though maybe Democratic leadership did get caught a little flat-footed? It did feel like this was coming for 50 years. Now, maybe nobody thought it was going to happen, but we've certainly known for the last few months, based on the leaked draft, this was coming. And it did seem like it took, the White House maybe 6 days to come out sort of with their plan. Why wasn't there a plan in place? Or was there and it was just slow to come out?
Look, I think what matters is that we are using every tool in the toolbox and doing everything we can to protect people who are pregnant right now and need help. But understand this, we have every single Republican in the United States Senate and the House has voted against Roe versus Wade. We actually had this, nobody quite remembers this, just a few weeks ago. We actually voted this in the Senate, and every Republican said nope on Roe versus Wade. You know what? We got elections coming up. We need to hold every Republican accountable for those votes.
I have a lot more to ask you. We will be right back with more from Senator Elizabeth Warren.